y'all. This is Stephen Lee Clark at L.A.D.S.R. And today I'm excited to share with you one of my favorite synths of all time, the Novation bass station. And it's not just my favorite because of the sound quality, which is absolutely incredible, but it's the combination of the sound quality with how affordable it is. Pretty sure you can get one of these used for like $400. I think I saw that new, they're 500. So just for how it's made, the quality, and purely how it sounds, that's an incredible price. And as you guys know, affordable synths and that sound great are like kind of my bag. So there's a lot we can cover here. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with this stuff down here. Today I'm just going to show you as like a showcase of what we have in our library here at L.A.D.S.R. I'm going to start running through these synths and just sharing the basic functions and how I like to use them. And, anybody who checks them out can use that as kind of like a jump off point. And I will say, like, once you get all this stuff up here, it makes down here a lot easier. And when I say down here, I'm talking about these like menus down here the function menus. And it's a lot of very simple stuff. It's about, assigning oscillator 2 to modulate, pitch and syncing LFOs and stuff like that. So it's nothing too crazy, but what I really want to show you is just how cool this synth is. Now, it comes with a lot of really amazing presets. That we can go through all day, but what this just sounds so amazing. But what I want to do is show you how I like to just kind of form my own sound and design it up myself. And so, in the 70s, you get your basic saw wave, right? So this is your initial patch where everything's super basic. It's just two saw waves. So what I want to do now is kind of just show you how I like to get a good tone out of it, or what I consider a really good tone. I'll walk you through a bunch of this stuff, and then we'll check it out. So first off, most importantly, you have your oscillators here. There's two oscillators. It should be said that while this entire synth is analog, the controls itself are digital. So you can see this reading over here on the display. And there's two arrows here, and they'll tell you, let me, for instance, go to a preset, right? Wild. Right. So this will tell you where the setting is that was saved last, right? So if I'm coming here to my course tuning, see I'm moving it up and it's showing me that the last save setting was down. And then as you get to it, it will go away. So let's see where this was saved last. There, it was saved on 12, see? So that also applies to like your own stuff. So when I make a patch here and I save it, those arrows will be very helpful, to guide me back to where I was. And also, if you move on from a specific patch and come back to it, it's where it's saved, right? Everything is where it's saved. So this is really good for like shows, like playing shows with it, or just keeping patches, and not having to scramble to like find out how you got to where you are. So again, there's two oscillators here. You can control them by switching this switch. So right now we're on oscillator 1. I'm going to put this back up to where it was at 0. So, okay, so now one thing I love about bass is that clean sine wave, right? Because, you know, that clean sine wave is what you're feeling, right? And it's not always the most audible. I mean, it is, but that is where you're like, that's where you get that like deep rumble that you feel. So as you can see, I turned down oscillator 2, so we're just hearing the sine wave from oscillator 1. And because there's not a lot of harmonics on the sine wave, the filter's not going to do too much. But you can hear how clean, and if you want to get really low, that's where you get that rumble. I don't know how well you can hear this at home, but it is so heavy and beautiful. So one thing that I really like to do is take one deep sine wave, and that gives it that like gravity, and I'll go over to the second oscillator, and I'll make that something harsh, like a square wave or a pulse wave. So now you'll be hearing, let's go up one octave. So now you should hear that sine wave, the smoothness, but as we bring in that second, you'll start to hear those harmonics, that little bit sharper. And now that the filter has something to play with, it's just a really clean sounding square wave. Now, another thing is you can adjust your pulse width of your square waves or your pulse waves, and you can either attach it to the mod envelope, you can attach it to LFO2, or you can leave it in the middle for manual, which is what I like to do. Hear that like sweeping nature of it. So that's a good way to get just a very clean and a very clean bass sound that is like sounds really cool on the filter. Also, one other thing too is that there is this knob here under your mixer that is the sub oscillator, and it's just so good. It sounds so good on this thing. Again, you're probably not picking up perfectly at home, but like, oh my gosh, if you can get on your hands on one of these or check it out from our library, it just sounds so good. Now, another thing I really like to do is to dirty things up. So I'm going to go back over to our oscillator 1, and I'm going to make that another pulse wave. So now we have 2 pulse waves. Okay. And one thing I really love to do is to offset them a little bit. So sounds so cool. Now I'm going to bring you over here again. This is your mixer. There's a couple cool things right here. You can there's like a knob here, and you can switch between your external input, which we don't have anything right now, but we're going to do the ring modulation. And then there's noise too. Okay, that's awesome. The filter is really good on this thing too. So there's a couple different. There's actually 2 filters or 2 modes. There's the classic, which we have here. Sounds really good. There's also an acid filter, which is exactly what you'd think. It's more like 303-ish. So, you know, like, and this is heavily dependent on your tone. So like maybe we can just do something. There's like a certain sharpness to it. So there's a couple things in here that I'm going to start showing you about the mod envelope. So like over here on the pitch, there's two things. And again, remember that right now we're in oscillator 1. So if you switch over to 2, it's totally different. It's specific for that oscillator. But another good thing to remember, especially if you're beginning out, is that a lot of anything that has to do with the LFO or the mod envelope is negative and positive, right? So right now at the 12 o'clock position, it's at 0. So if you can go up, you can go down, and see how it says negative right there. And same with the LFO stuff. So if you go all the way down, you're not at 0. You're just in the negative. So your envelope over here right now, you can do 3 different things. You can create an envelope for your amp, right? Your VCA or whatever. And that is how you're going to shape your wave. So just like any other. We can go like that. So it's a track. So the other thing you can do here is you can use this for your mod envelope. So you change this down here, and again, we're on something different now, so it's totally reset. So right now, so over here, you can bring your mod envelope into your filter. So say you want to have a sweeping motion of your filter. Just make an envelope for it. See how it slowly opening up the filter. Now the opposite side of that is your decay. See how it's going down like that, right? And then, the same goes for your pitch over here. So let's see that. And then and then we can go. Now remember, these are offset, and also so the mod envelope depth is only affecting oscillator 1 right now. So as you can imagine, you can get all into the weeds doing both oscillators and doing a bunch of different stuff. Now I'm going to put that back to 0. Now LFO2 is automatically routed to the filter, so we can turn that up. And as you can see, we have a triangle wave. Now, as you can imagine, if we're doing that, we have LFO1 depth on oscillator 1. We can turn that up. Get really trippy. Now let me show you. And let me turn down oscillator 2 so you can hear exactly what's happening just to oscillator 1. And of course you can change your settings. So this is a sawtooth. And then a square. Okay, so that is really cool. And then again, if you can adjust all these settings on both oscillators and just play around and see how they react to each other. One thing I really like about this synth is there is a pre-filter overdrive here, right? So let me offset this again just because I like how it sounds. Bring back in oscillator 2. Now, before it even gets to the filter, there is a overdrive that you can do. You can hear it kind of push it a little bit further. Actually, let's make a couple of sawtooth waves here. There you can really hear it on my sawtooth. Let's take it even further. Do a triangle, a couple triangle waves. And now you should be able to hear it. Yeah. So hear that overdrive. Now that overdrive is, again, pre-filter. But the cool thing about this is, let's take that overdrive off. There is a post, after everything, there's a distortion knob right here. So with no overdrive, and you can hear how distorted it is, even the low end, because it's coming after the filter. So now I want to show you this. It's oscillator filter mod. It's automatically routed to oscillator 2. So now that we're on oscillator 2 over here, let's turn this up. And again, this is oscillator 2, filter, mod. So you're going to mod the filter with oscillator 2. Hear that? It's pretty cool. It's kind of far out too, because you can get, again, like in the weeds and do some really weird stuff. Hear how it changes like that. Definitely gives some different character to that filter. So that essentially is how I like to mess with it. Again, like one of my favorite things is just like offsetting the harsh waves a little bit, and it just sounds so big, and the sound quality is so good. And then if you bring in that sub, it sounds really good. Lastly, I'm going to show you. It has a really simple and cool arpeggiator, but here's your octaves. You can go up 4 octaves. But what I really like is the sequencer. It's a super simple and straightforward sequencer. So you just take this knob and you turn it to record down here, and it'll show you. It's a 32-step sequencer. So we can just go step. And then we're going to switch that to play. And then now you can play that by transposing it. Oh, sorry, turn it on. And as I said, it transposes. get really far out with it. But as I said in the beginning, this is one of my favorite synths. I've owned one for years, and it's not necessarily because of all the crazy stuff you can do. It's purely because, which is awesome. It's awesome that you can do that, but it's purely because of how good it sounds, and quite honestly, like how easy it is to use. I'll be making more videos in the future, and we can start getting into the weeds down here. But I just really wanted to demonstrate why this is one of my favorite synths ever, and why I'm so excited to have it in the library for y'all to check out. So again, this is Stephen Lee Clark with L.A.D.S.R. Thanks for watching.